All done. Well, it looks like you're by yourself, but you may.
Place to myself. It's already there.
It actually space level, over.
Between those issues and the parking lot to the west. Yeah, there's already one there. Well, we were just thinking. They've got a gravel base.
It's literally, you know, driving off that gravel. Multiple times.
So they're putting one, I mean, they're proposing to put one west.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. We have a code.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get things started. It's officially 6:01. Gary or Commissioner Boatwright has asked that I lead in his stead. He unfortunately is not able to make it tonight, and Commissioner Walton, thank you. It's right from that thing. Commissioner Walton is also not able to make it tonight due to some family activities. So we will go ahead and get started. The first thing on the agenda is to open us up with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Johnson will lead us.
You please stand and repeat after me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Next item up is public comment. So we will open it up for public comment. Just a quick reminder that you have 3 minutes or less to make your comments. Please make sure to state your name and your address, direct your comments to the entire commission, and we will not respond to the comments at this point. So if you have comments, then we'll go ahead and open it up.
Paul Sturm, 2527 Deer Run Drive. These are extemporaneous extemporaneous comments today. Agenda item number 8 has to do with Wes Johnson, that this is the last meeting as a planning commissioner. I would personally like to thank him for all of his service to the city, his insights, background and experience, and his emphasis on environmental issues, not just the negatives, but also the resolutions of those. Once again, thank you, Wes.
Thank you, Paul.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, I'll seek for a motion to close public comment.
I'll make a motion to close public comment.
A second? We don't
Yeah,
have to do it
they don't
anyway.
have to do that. You just close it.
Yeah.
All right, it's close.
You did great, though. That was
Thank you.
good.
Thank you.
It's so authoritative. I love it.
Next up is the approval of consent agenda. Are there any comments that commissioners or anyone else would like to make?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I just need to make a note that the minutes are as they were in the packet, they're also in front of you. There is an addition which is sitting in front of you, and that's Paul Stern's public comments that aren't attached to it. They will be attached to the final minutes, so you'll want to approve it with those.
Okay.
Gotcha. Any other concerns from the commission? Good. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the attached comments by Paul Sturm.
I'll second.
All right, roll call. Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. We're good there? Yeah? Okay. Next up is public hearing and action on preliminary plat improvement plans and rezone for the Meadows subdivision, 34 lot plat. Do I have a motion to open public hearing?
You don't need a motion.
Okay. then
Second.
I guess I do.
Do
All
you?
right, there we go. All right, well, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing portion of this particular item. Any comments from those in attendance? Oh,
Do we?
Yeah, we
Oh,
have to make a
no.
motion to open the public hearing and then,
He did. I told him.
oh,
no.
yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah, he
did.
did.
I seconded it.
So,
We're good? We're aligned? Okay. Did you want to, what we want to do, public comments or you first? I can't remember now.
I'll defer to you.
Oh, let's go ahead and open it up since everyone's kind of quiet tonight.
Okay, that sounds great. I know, it's so interesting. All right, the first item, the item that we're talking about is the Meadows preliminary subdivision. I'm kind of excited to see this in preliminary. Part of my interview process is anecdotally, but I got to review this this plan as part of my interview process. So it's kind of fun to see it all the way to fruition. So that's not the right one. Did I email you the wrong one? Because that's the December Planning Commission. Anyways, while she's pulling that up, the Meadows is located approximately 750 East Old Fort Road. Applicant is Dwayne Johnson. Some notable items with this this project is that it is currently zoned agricultural. There's a request to recommend a rezone for residential moderate and residential patio home. One of the stipulations in our code with the patio home is that it needs to be 10 acres, 2 to 10 acres. You'll see there. This is consistent with the general plan. The general plan has an overlay cloud bubble for residential patio. I don't know what the technical definition is. It's not really designed, but it recommends that in general that area could be used for residential patio. So it is consistent with the general plan there. It is also consistent with neighboring property usage as well. Some other notable items are the landscape requirements for residential patio is 15%, but it can be reduced to 10% on recommendation of the Planning Commission for use of exceptional design. The applicant has submitted the application determining that the detention basin, the improvements to the detention basin do help meet this. After consideration under staff, we feel that it does meet some aspects of exceptional design, specifically including a walking path to connect to the public right-of-way and the addition of a pavilion, as well as lining the detention basin with trees on the perimeter. Makes it a more inviting park for those to utilize. The phasing for this project does come in 3 components. Phase 1 will not have more than 30 units, and it's going to be feeding a single outlet into the neighboring subdivision in Harvest Park. The Meadows is this project. I got it. Harvest Park. The second phase would be the addition. You can go ahead and advance 3 or 4 slides. One more, maybe. Okay, yeah, we're good. The second phase will include the addition of the Old Fort Road extension, as well as a turnaround that's required by the fire district as a temporary turnaround until the road continues on into the next property. Through various conversations, that was the option that was available to us, that was approved by the fire department. And then phase 3 will be the final units, about 9 units, I believe, at the southwestern portion of the property. You can go ahead and advance one more. And then we've talked to them about fencing requirements for the project, and all of the fencing is compliant. All of the engineering recommendations through the preliminary process have been met by the project. One thing of note is that a cost share reimbursement agreement will be needed before final approval. This is going to be to cover what the city owes the developer for the upsides of Old Fort Road. Storm drain facilities, water facilities, the cost will be reimbursed to the developer through a collection of impact fees. So that's just something to note when we get to the final process, that will have to be completed. It doesn't have to be a condition of approval. It just we just wanted to make sure it was noted in this meeting so that we could go back and remember that and that the developer was aware of that as well as part of the preliminary approval process. This is the site, the landscape plan. So you can see that there are trees around the perimeter. There's an addition of a pavilion and then a 6-foot concrete trail connection from the neighborhood to the public right-of-way. We feel like this improves that detention basin, makes it more of a park that could be utilized by the community, and therefore does meet some of the expectations of exceptional design for landscape. But that is a prerogative of the Planning Commission to determine as well. Go ahead and advance. This is kind of a demonstration of the zoning split. The RP zone will take up a majority of the northern portion of the project, and then the southern portion of the project will be the RM zone. All of the site, all of those lots do comply with their respective zones, and the sizing for those zones, the RP is 9.4 acres, I believe. Let's make sure I got that right. Yep. Yes, 9.4 approximately, and the remaining property will be RM, and all of the density requirements are met within those as well. You can advance more. This shows you the phasing of the project. So we have phase 1, which is the center portion of the project, which includes some of the RP zone and some of the RM zone. You'll notice that there is a fence, a proposed 6-foot solid vinyl fence between the RM and the RP zones in compliance with the requirements of the zone on the property. The detention basin will also be part of phase 1, and then phase 2 will include those 3 homes plus the addition of Old Fort Road. Staff identified that it was something that concerned us at the beginning of the project because we wanted to ensure that Old Fort Road did continue through the project at some point. And so the developer proposed putting that in phase 2 prior to the completion of phase 3 so that it can be ensured that that was completed for the entire project and not left vacant at that point. So that's all I have for the presentation. We can go ahead and ask questions. I know the developer is here, and if you have questions for the developer, I'm sure they'll be more than willing to answer those.
Thank you, Trevor. It's open if there are any public comments regarding this particular agenda item. Yeah, if the developer is here, I don't know who it is. Sorry. If there are things that you'd like to add based on Trevor, then that's great.
Pretty well covered it all.
I tried to be thorough.
Yeah, pretty good. No public comment? This one? All right, then, I think we can just go to the commissioners for comment. Right?
You can move to close the public hearing and then
Right.
discuss.
Thank you. Then I look for a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. I'll get it down eventually. All right, then we'll move to comments from the commissioners. Any, would you like to go first?
Let's go ahead.
You go first. A few questions I've got. The concrete trail going to the pavilion and to the retention basin, is there going to be a fence between those houses, units, 27, 28, 1 and 2? Because I see this as it's going to be a park, and if people are going to be going down there, they're going to have open access to the residents' backyards. Is there going to be a fence there?
Yeah. Sounds like maybe there should be. Right behind you. So Jeremy Draper for the record with Regan Associates. And yes, it does sound like there needs to be a fence between the trail
Can
and
we
those
get that
residents.
put onto the drawings? then?
We will put that on the drawings. We've got a proposed fence off of the right of ways for Old Fort Road.
Yep.
But I don't see that in here as well, so we'll make sure that that is included.
On the turnaround area, it says in the notes that have a temporary turnaround with asphalt cannot be removed until the development to the east removes the turnaround and extends the road. So we have to, until that, get that out of there, the people on the property next to this are going to have to develop their property. Is that correct?
That's correct, and that's
And-
something that we worked with Mr. Jones on to get that language on there.
So the people that end up buying those 2 lots where the turnaround is, they're going to be stuck with that in their backyard.
It's determined as an impact to the public road. And so because this developer was willing to put the turnaround farther out into that property if that property owner
Right.
agreed to that, but they did not agree to that.
Okay.
And so they were required to turn around, and so it's a temporary one. The homeowners that will purchase those lots will be recorded on there, that will be known to them. And then once that does develop, which could be any time from now until eternity, we don't know when that's going to be. But once that happens, then because that property owner now has the obligation of completing the road, they would make those improvements to make that temporary turnaround go away.
That's consistent with what is required in the city standards. So they have there's 2 options when there's a dead end road like that. One, if with the turnaround on their own property and one with the turnaround on the adjacent property. Obviously, the adjacent property owners have to agree, and if they don't, then they're only left with the other option, and so that's what's being done.
All right. The pavilion on the retention basin is I know city parks overseas renting out pavilions and everything. Is this gonna be come under the city park? Be managed by the city?
Yes, this will be owned by the city.
Okay. So is there gonna be parking available for people wanting to use a pavilion?
Most likely it'll just be a local pavilion that's not rentable. It's just
Well, the city
First-
owns it. City's gonna take ownership of it.
Correct.
It'll have to have ability to provide space for parking for people that want to use it.
there is on-street parking available
Yes.
at Old Fort Road.
So they'll park on Old Fort Road, which the county plat maps still identify as South Minch Drive.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to park there, then go down to the pavilion. All right. Okay, that's all I got.
I actually had a question that kind of piggybacks off of one of Wes's comments. With that turnaround, how is that going to impact the fencing? Because I believe all of the fencing along Old Fort Road is the solid masonry fencing. So is there going to be a gap in that fencing?
No, around the turnaround area, there will be a vinyl fence that will
Okay.
connect the masonry to masonry.
Okay,
And then when that gets extended, then,
then the masonry fence will be installed?
yeah, the next developer to the east will take down the vinyl fence, take out the turnaround, build the curb gutter and sidewalk across, and then connect masonry fence across there.
Okay, so, but that will all be on the future development,
Yes.
which could be whenever.
Decades.
Yes.
Ideally, we wish that it would have been able to go through, but we can't force somebody to give up their
Right.
property.
Nope.
We did, I think, try to help them understand that by not allowing it at this point, when they want to develop in the future, it does come with these other improvements, and changes to the road that will be required.
And as far as all of that fencing that's gonna go on that lots 1, 2, 26, and 27R, is that going to be a chain link fence? Is that gonna be a masonry fence, or will that be a vinyl fence?
On which lots did you
The
say?
lots that are right by the retention basin?
I guess that's a question for the developer. I was just gonna point out that the detention basins are required to be fenced.
Mhm.
So the requirement for a fence around there is already there.
Yep.
Whether or not it's chain link or vinyl, I think is up to the developer.
You have the option, isn't there an option in the city ordinance for either one?
Yes. I mean, I personally think that there's one that's more attractive than another, but that's your choice.
Was it?
I'm not supposed to weigh in on these things.
But along Old Fort Road, it's all the masonry solid fencing. It would only be on that
Their backyards of 27,
south
28,
and then
Yeah.
properties,
2,
basically.
and 1.
Some homes that chain link, so I don't matter whether you want to match it or back, I don't know, I don't matter, or you'd be, I think down their detention, they did chain link. Not that it would matter, but. So if you go back a little bit where the dog park is and all that.
Yes, around the dog park is chain link, yes, but that's not immediately adjacent to
Okay.
backyards.
Yeah.
But the east side of Harvest Park is all chain link, the borders this property.
Yes,
is all chain
right,
link.
because at the time, it was just ag property and that was
Right.
the requirement.
When I think they had to have that because it was agricultural
Yes.
and the horses were not allowed to have a vinyl, correct?
I think you can, it's just that when it truly is adjacent to an ag use, vinyl doesn't work very well.
No.
But now that this is being developed, typically, I think property owners like to have more of a solid privacy fence. But the requirements in the code don't require a vinyl fence. So you could do chain link.
Okay,
But-
well, and I know if you go through most of the communities that are being built down there, most of the homeowners are putting in a vinyl fencing. They're not putting in chain link just because it does give the privacy. So, I mean, obviously, if it is up to the developer to decide what they want to do there, can I vote in my, I don't know, vinyl, but it's your call. So I just know it's not gonna be the masonry. As far as exceptional design, do we have in our code where it says like, these are the things that qualify as exceptional design? Or is it just improvements, which I appreciate you guys doing that. Obviously, one of my concerns is all of that green area, grass, sod. Okay, this might be silly, but again, if we have a drought, been living in one, there's no guarantee that we're gonna have good rain, snow. So far, it's not doing very good. So I would be opposed to seeing maybe a little more through those beds, like a rock gravel, something like that, just to maybe help us in the future in the community be able to keep our watering costs. You know, if there's some xeriscaping that can be done. I know there's a lot of efforts out there right now with the conservation district, the watering district. So I wouldn't be opposed to that. And it looks like you guys are fine. I mean, it's 27 units in phase 1. It's 6 units in phase 3. What's going to be the main access during the construction of phase 1 with all of those homes if Old Fort Road isn't being done until phase 2? What's the plan? I couldn't quite determine.
They could still just, if you can see that with phase 1, they are also proposing to just do dirt roads.
Okay,
So I would imagine we would encourage them to use Old Fort Road as the main,
kind of the main
access.
access for all the construction
Right,
trucks and
right.
trailers and
There's-
everything.
really no need to go into Harvest Park, only to just make that corner and
Okay,
you could just
because that was the
continue
main thing,
straight.
is not having an impact obviously on the established communities that are already built and bordering there. You know, I'm sure that the homeowners would appreciate that.
Yeah, we typically take care of that type of thing in the pre-construction meeting as well.
The only other question I did have in this, the cost share reimbursement agreement, for the final approval. Why would we already be in a situation of owing the developer for the upsizing of Old Fort Road? Aren't we having sufficient collection with our impact fees for that? And I'm assuming
Well-
it's because it's being widened and the curb and gutter and all that.
Right. So they're responsible for the cost of the base city standard road, and this is bigger than that.
Okay,
And so the city owes them
For
for
going to that
the
larger-
additional, and that will be paid through the collection of impact fees.
Yeah, it goes with exactions, right? So as a city, we can only exact so much from a developer. And so we can exact the city standard road, but anything above and beyond, then we would be responsible for the increase to that.
and Old Fort Road is gonna be how wide?
Through this development, it'll be the same width as what's in front of the dog park.
Okay, so it'll match up
Yes,
with what's on the other side of 475?
yes.
Okay, that was all I had.
The only question I had was, and I think I answered my own question, was that this does all meet code in the current setup, right?
Yeah. Yeah, with the addition of that fence, it would, yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of different fencing that was required, so it must have slipped through.
And it meets the general plan projected use, which is
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
great.
Very good.
All right, any other comments?
The trail, that's going to be along between Old Fort Road and I-84. When's the city going to be putting that in?
I guess when they tell us to do it. It doesn't, right now, without the Stevens property being developed, it doesn't really go anywhere. And so maybe when the Stevens property develops and we know kind of what's happening there, that'll give more of a destination for the trail to connect to. But for now, we're just collecting the money. Feel like it would be better to install it later when it would be used.
One of the main things I like about this is the number of patio homes. That's a very wise choice. You got 24 of them, 22 of them in there. And those are really becoming quite popular in this area right now. A lot of people are looking at that. Is there going to be, in the past, we've had people come and say there'll be an age restriction on patio home. At least one individual has to be 55 or older. I think I'm the only one that qualifies up here. But is there going to be any age restriction on that? Okay, good.
So it's not gonna be like the 55+ community that,
Riverside.
thank you, Riverside is.
Correct.
Any other comments, questions, concerns?
Can I just ask a question just to confirm?
Yep.
Jeremy, through the letters received from the irrigation company, the existing 18-inch line that's in Old Fort Road, I'm just confirming that is going to be replaced, right?
Yes, that's what we had discussed, because the current line wouldn't
Right.
work in the roadways.
Right, okay. Just wanted to reiterate that.
Oh, I did have one other thought. We do have all of the sign off from fire department and from all of the utilities. And there's no crazy Air Force easements, noise easements, anything that's recorded on this property that's gonna be an impact towards like the buildable area on any of the lots.
There's a power line easement, but that's accounted for. But other than that, no, everything has been signed off.
I saw that with that power line easement, it just means that the building has to be set back outside of that easement, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay,
There's also an irrigation easement on the east side.
okay. But it looks like that lot was increased in size to account for that.
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay, where the building needs to be placed.
yes.
can have
And
a
there
premium
is a
attached to
power
that.
pole in lot 12.
A power pole in lot 12.
And one in lot 16.
Okay,
But those, you can maybe see the property line has shifted on both of those so that it makes sure that the land's in the backyard and not like right on the property line.
you said 16 and,
16 on the east
okay,
back corner,
yep,
and then 12, right between 12 and 6.
12 and 6 will be a power pole.
There already is one. It will just remain
It
there.
will stay. Okay. I'm good.
All right, then I'll look for a motion for approval.
I'll go ahead and do that. I'll make a motion to recommend approval to the city council on, no?
So you'll,
Oh, we approve
yeah,
preliminary.
approve a preliminary and then recommend the rezone.
Recommend the rezone, because it does, okay, so I'm gonna recommend approval for the preliminary, and then I'm going to recommend approval for the rezone of the Meadows subdivision, 34 lot plat, combined RP and RM zoning, for a total of 13.75 acres, located at approximately 750 East Old Fort Road by applicant Dwayne Johnson.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All right, roll call.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it passes unanimously. All right, moving on to item number 5, site plan amendment, South Weaver Commercial, the shops previously approved as Alpha Coffee, located at 2532 East South Weaver Drive by applicant Dan Murray. Do you have comments by staff?
Yes. All right, you can go ahead and advance, Kim. Okay, so this is fairly simple and straightforward. The current zoning for the project is a commercial highway. The gross site is 0.68 acres. I'm gonna advance. There we go. So notable items, this is an amendment. So the applicant had a tenant remove their interest in the property and was approached by a new tenant. The developer now wishes to maintain ownership of the property and adjust the site to accommodate for the new tenant. The adjustments are minor. However, the usage is similar. Previously it was Alpha Coffee that had a drive-through, and now the proposed tenant would be still a drink shop with a drive-through. So, and a retail center for rental and purchase of equipment. One other notable item is that there is, in this application as well, the developer has proposed zero escape on the property, which equates to about 13.7% of the total landscaped area, which is under the 15% required. With the size of that lot, that puts it about 200 square feet under the 15%. The code does allow the planning commission to approve landscaping down to 10% for exceptional design. We feel that with xeriscaping, that and putting in the amount of vegetation that is proposed, we do feel comfortable in approving that as an exceptional design for the site. It'll be very similar to what is already currently near the property in xeriscape design, just extended throughout. One concern when staff was reviewing this application was the access to the site, especially with a high-use drive-through. The applicant has proposed to add an additional entrance to that property that was approved by UDOT. It's an access point that's already there. They'll just utilize that a little bit further west on the property, so it'll provide some adequate egress out of the property to limit queuing and any traffic impact to the road. One thing staff has noticed as we're reviewing this, and it was not pertinent for the application because it met code in that aspect, but one thing to consider for future land use is perhaps adjusting, at least in that area, the setback requirements for the commercial highways to allow better egress on the rear end of the property and moving the buildings more towards the front of the property to help with future flow of and development in that area. So that's something to consider for a future meeting, but we just want to let you know that that was a conversation that we had as staff and we'd explored, but that is not the proposal in this application. And as far as we see, it meets code on that aspect. You want to go ahead and advance? This is the previous tenant plan. This is the architectural review for that, just for your consideration on the new architectural renderings. And advance one more. This is very consistent with what is currently on the site. It flows. We feel that it meets that that requirement there. You want to advance? This is the previous plan, site plan. You can see there's a queue in the back, the parking that's available to the site, and then the building that is on the site. In advance. This is the new site plan with the additional access. So very similar layout where the building is located. The building is a larger building, so the footprint is a little bit larger, and the parking has shifted, but the drive access to the drive-through has largely stayed the same on that. So very minor changes to that site plan, but we wanted you to did you want to compare the two for a little bit and look back and forth? Okay, advance one more. This is the previous landscape plan. It was also xeriscape plan as well in the original proposal, very consistent with what's already currently on the site. And in advance, this is the current landscape plan. A lot of trees, vegetation, shrubbery, and the rock xeriscape features, which is water-wise and fits with the original landscape that's on the site, on the adjacent sites.
Can you go back one? Real quick? Just for a quick comparison. Yeah. Oh, I see.
Quick question, since we're doing this, that retention basin that's there right now, that's all the rocks, where the drive-through, I'm assuming with the cars on the right side, that's the Little Caesars.
Yes.
That's going away?
Yes. So not that one. That one will stay the same, but the retention for this site will actually move to a more regional detention basin located further down on the site.
Okay.
Did I get that right, Brandon?
Yes, I think the developer originally, I think, was thinking of putting detention basins or handling stormwater on a per lot basis as he goes down, but I think has decided that it's a better use of the property to just do one larger detention basin at the west end, the downstream side. And so that's what they're proposing on this one is to put that down there. And so there's no detention on site right here. It's off site.
But with the slopage and everything, drainage and all of that, there's not going to be an impact where we're going to be worried about flooding
No,
on this development.
no, they've got
By not having
collection.
that.
Yeah, they've got collection boxes.
Yeah,
and-
that's true.
drainage.
We gotta fill the pits, you know, since everybody wants to
I
live
was gonna
there.
say, just dump everything back there. I'm sure, no, I'm just joking. I'm kidding if anybody's listening from the pits.
Anybody can
Just
park.
kidding.
That was a joke.
It's a joke, it's a joke.
Ha,
Yes, I believe that covers everything that I need to cover. The developer is here, so I'm sure he'll be able to answer any questions if you have any. And
I'll let my fellow commissioners start us off. I have just one question, but,
No, go.
but my only question was the garbage collection, so I saw it was in the corner right there. Is that enough space for, I don't know who I'm talking to. Okay. Is that enough space for the trucks to get in there when there's cars in those parking spots? That was my only concern, is that might be a concern, but.
We hope it's not an issue. And we also hope that the garbage collection, which is Robinson, that they can time it such that that parking is usually used for Burley Burger. So if they can avoid like the lunch rush hour, we don't think it'll be an issue. And we actually are somewhat excited that this site may provide a little bit of relief for parking on the other one.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's another thing I was thinking of is, man, that parking gets crazy sometimes. So, yeah, I agree with that. So thank you for the.
Thank you.
clarification. Yep.
Okay, so that actually leads perfectly into my question, which is the parking. And part of it is because right now with the way the overflow from Little Caesars that is paved to go into the dirt area, which will now be, I believe, the beginning of the parking. And I don't know if you want to try to pull up page, I don't even know what page it is. It was the one we were just on that showed the difference between, there's a significant height difference.
Mhm.
And so is that going to be raised?
It will be, yeah.
Okay. So not like a retention wall
No,
and
no,
a
no.
drop off.
No, that drive aisle will have to just match.
So everything will be basically raised up.
Yeah.
So it's all one level. Okay. I know this has come up in our last city council meeting, the parking. We have a parking calculation issue in the city. I know we're all aware of this. And I think this is just, I want to really make sure we've got sufficient parking so that this doesn't just become an issue that gets passed down to the next development, because we see it very much firsthand. We already talked about it, Burley Burger's parking. And it's not just Burley Burger, it's Little Caesars, it's also people going in and using the physical therapy facility. Are we sure that our parking calculations here are sufficient? Because there is no on-street parking on South River Drive to take over any overflow.
A couple of comments on that.
Mhm.
So fortunately, we own both parcels. But we do not own, we have sold the parcel immediately west where the Salon Suites was previously approved.
Okay,
And so the parking has to be contained on these couple of parcels that we own. And we believe it will be. The soda shop that's going in, they won't have any interior seating or really any lobby to speak of. So they're anticipating that 98% of their business will be done through that drive-up window. So parking related to the soda shop will really just be employee parking.
okay,
The other tenant that we're working with, which isn't finalized, so it may or may not be the tenant, but it is a ski rental business. And so it will, in part be seasonal. There will be a couple of months out of the year where they may choose to actually close their doors, and we're okay with that. And this is a very reputable tenant, multiple outlets in the state, solid tenant. But if you're dealing with the ski industry, that's a little bit slow in May and June.
okay.
So,
We gotta get the snow too.
yeah,
That's what brings
amen.
people to Utah.
So anyway, we're hoping that the parking is, we're hoping that this will provide some relief for the others.
Okay.
So I can weigh in on that. In the code, chapter 8, off-street parking, we're considering this to be intensive retail commercial shops selling directly to the public.
Okay,
In what we currently have, that feels like that fits the best. The requirement is 3.5 spaces per 1,000 square feet of floor space. They have just over 4,000. So if I
you said
did my
3.5
calculations
spaces.
right, that would be 14.
Yeah.
And,
3.5 per thousand?
Yes.
3.5 per 1,000 square feet, yes. And they have, I believe, 29 that are going to be built permanent with this.
29 spaces.
Yes.
Perfect.
So now, you know, Burley Burger is kind of using, or Dan has built some of those right now that are kind of being used there.
Mhm.
But even if you take those out, they still have more than 14.
Their food wasn't so good.
Yeah, we love successful businesses.
It's
do.
a
We
nice
love
problem to
successful
have.
businesses.
Such great tenants.
That's what we want. The only other question, concern I have, and that it's basically the, I wish I had a page number I could tell you to go to. It's with the new driveway on the west end of the property that is basically right across from the entrance and exit to Highmark. And the concern is that right there is where UDOT on South Weaver Drive has the 2 travel lanes that exist in front of Burley Burger and Little Caesars, merging literally right at that entrance into one single lane. And I'm concerned about the spacing, especially if we have people that will be slowing down to turn into, as well as people trying to exit. That is a big red flag. And I had actually written down that it would be great if it was like an entrance only or an exit only, but even then it doesn't take care of, I guess, the potential for people trying to turn and head eastbound. Because I've seen accidents after accidents after accidents with the merging and incidents taking place right there, turning into the Little Caesars, so, which is the eastern entrance. What's the options there to address those concerns?
I think, in my opinion, it's got to be a collaborative effort with UDOT
Mhm.
as it is their road. And so the striping on the road itself needs to be, they have to approve that. I've had discussions with them, notifying them as these have come on.
Mhm.
Now, of course, nothing's been built yet. But we, approved Alpha Coffee previously and the Salon Suites to the west of them, both are already approved. This is just an amendment to that previously approved plan. I think it's a valid concern.
Brandon,
Yes, go ahead.
I thought that in prior conversations with UDOT, that they had actually confirmed that they're going to be doing some restriping on the road.
They have talked about it. I think, I don't have anything confirmed as to exactly how they're going to do it. They just said that we'll analyze it and see how the traffic patterns develop, and depending on how popular things are and the number of vehicles that get there. So I hate to say it's a wait and see, but that is the answer that I think I have to say is UDOT's response. The other solution that sometimes they will do is to put a median down the center
Mhm.
that will eliminate any left-hand turns. I think that will.
That won't work with access to Highmark.
Well, they would potentially allow for just a left-hand turn off the main road into Highmark, but not for.
No left-hand turn out of that space.
Exactly, right. Now,
So
they have ways of making sure that
Making it work.
I guess what I'm saying is, sometimes it's not bad to wait and see what the problems actually are, so you know how to solve them the best, rather than putting in something that you wish you could take out later or want to take out later, and then they don't.
And the road doesn't narrow at all in
No, it
terms
doesn't.
of the total width.
It feels like it
Turning.
does because those.
The striping.
Yes, because of the striping, but it's still the same width all
And
the
the
way.
turning.
Can I give 2 seconds of history on it as well?
Please.
So as we acquired some of this property and started the development, we brought the Maverick in.
Mhm.
And UDOT required that we address access for all of this property at once. So on the north side of the road, our property extends down to the west end of the Highmark Charter School.
Okay.
And so UDOT actually required us that all driveways align so that, and it makes sense to do that because then you don't have conflicting left-hand turn movements, you know. So, really, this was dictated to us by UDOT, and it is a good design. I mean, UDOT sort of had a great situation in that the only thing that was in place already was the Highmark Charter School and those 2 access points. So the additional 4 access points, the 3 on the north side, and then the additional drive for Maverick, you know, they were in a good position to make sure that they aligned. And so they've done that. We feel good about it. We like the fact that this westerly access point will just take pressure off the existing access.
And there was never any conversation with UDOT about these being turned into controlled intersections, correct? Like having lights like there currently exist at 2700
You know,
and South River Drive.
when the traffic studies were done, et cetera, and the projections on the use, et cetera, were done, the level of service on the road was still fine.
Okay.
So it didn't require, you know, the medians or any additional signalization. They wouldn't want any additional signals because of proximity to the frontage road.
And that's why I don't want to make sure that there's never that thought process, because that will never work there.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they have any desire to, I mean, I think their general feeling is to just leave it open. And so we've just notified them that we think there's reason to keep a watchful eye on this.
Okay. That's all my questions.
Okay, Commissioner Justin?
The layout that they're showing is different than what you've got on the plan drawings. This one here kind of shows that there's going to be more than 2 shops in there.
So it's designed so that we can.
Okay.
So right now, and we're actually going to label it as 3 different units. We'll have the drink shop as 1 unit, and then the 3,000 square feet of space can be divisible into 2 1,500 units.
Okay.
We're talking to the tenant, the ski rental place, which would use all 3,000. But, you know, this building's going to be here for a long time, and 10 years from now, it may need to convert to a different use. So that's why it was designed that way, so that we could have an additional storefront.
Right. The ski, being a ski rental on there, that you're going to see the season shortening as they've done over the last 5 years by about 2 weeks on each end. And so ski rental is going to kind of become secondary to what's going on out there. Jan's Mountain Outfitters up in Park City. They do ski rental during the winter and a fly shop during the winter, the summer.
In the summer?
Yeah. We need a fly shop bad.
I'll share that with them, but I don't think it's in their current prototype.
And my coffee shop, where'd my coffee shop go?
I know, I'm
You know
really
what?
sad that Alpha
So-
backed out.
So let me tell you, Alpha became a victim of the
Okay.
pandemic. Salt Lake County forced them to close for a period. Their location in Salt Lake County didn't have a drive-up window, so their closure extended longer. And then now, more recently, the issue has been employees.
Yeah.
And that's actually why they pulled the plug on it. They're struggling to get employees at their current facility, and they didn't want to exacerbate that problem. But we are in conversations with another one, so on another piece.
Okay. Another coffee shop.
Mhm.
All right.
We'll get you caffeinated.
All right. Good plan. Very good.
Thank you.
Are you good, Wes? Yeah.
I did have one other, and it's more to the building aesthetic, because it's kind of hard to tell from the drawing. Is it going to match what currently exists with the Burley Burger and Little Caesars in terms of the wood beams? and the
Same
stone?
architect,
Okay,
so same feel,
okay,
but not identical.
but not identical,
No.
but still very much looking like a cohesive parking shop, retail.
Yes. That's the intent.
Thank you.
All right, on this one, is this going to council?
No,
We
you
just
are
approved
approving it.
the-
Approve it.
Okay,
Because
then
it's just an
I'll,
amendment.
then I'll seek a motion to approve the site plan amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve the South Weaver Drive commercial, the shops, site plan amendment.
So a second.
That's okay.
All right, Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are approved. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. May I quickly add a thank you also to Wes? I didn't realize that you're stepping down from the
Been
planning
7 years.
commission.
They said no more.
And you have
Just
served
taking a
admirably.
one-year break.
Got a 1-year break and you can come on back.
Get all the fishing out of this system.
We can keep our fingers crossed. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 6, architectural review for Davis Aqueduct. Staff, would you like to dive into this one for us?
Absolutely. So this project, it says Highway 89, I think by default, it's really over on the frontage road, just across from 89. This is a pump station by the Weaver Basin Water Conservancy District. They representatives for that organization are in attendance, so if you have any questions after my presentation, we can direct questions to them as well. After review of the application, we would recommend approval. One thing that we were looking at previously, this falls in the commercial zone on that property, and previously it was a conditional use for that zone. After the usage change back in June, the big matrix that we approved, this use now falls in as an approved use for the zone as a public building. A building public. Semicolon public, or however it's put in the code. I have that on here. The definition of a public building is a building owned and operated, or owned and intended to be operated by a public agency of the United States of America or state of Utah, or any of its subdivisions in connection with public use. The Water Conservancy District Act does define a water conservancy district as a public organization for the public use of the state. And so with it falling in with that definition, we're comfortable in saying that it meets that usage there. So therefore, it doesn't need a conditional use, it just needs this architectural review and landscape review from the Planning Commission. Some other notable items, if you want to jump ahead, Kim. One more site, one more, yeah, there we go. This is just within the code. The Planning Commission shall determine if the proposed architectural and development plans submitted are consistent with the chapter and the purpose of the objectives of this title. So this is strictly at approval for you as Planning Commission tonight. Completely up to you. And inside your packet, I did add kind of the parameters around an architectural review and the landscape review, just to help guide your conversation. With passage of Utah State Code, we can't force everything. We can't require them to do certain materials necessarily. And so this will help us frame that conversation in doing that. You want to jump ahead again? This is the proposed architectural rendering for the site, the pump house. So it doesn't need to be frilly, just needs to do its job. So this is what's been proposed. It's masonry and concrete construction there. I'm going to advance one more. This is the site plan with the landscaping plan for the site. Randomly, they're asking to do a water-wise landscaping. I don't know why they would do that. No, just kidding. The landscaping is water-wise. They have done more than 15% of the site. I can tell you that. And this is the location of the pump station. The setbacks are within the parameters of the code, and so it's up to you as commission to review the landscape and architectural and see if that you find that sufficient. I'm just looking through my notes, making sure I didn't miss anything that I needed to cover, and I think we've done that. So with that, I'll turn time back over to you, and to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, I'll turn time over to my fellow commissioners. Do you have any questions?
Do you have any, Commissioner Johnson?
The landscaping that you're using, I see it's all native plants, which is good. Really, really like that. I don't see any Kentucky bluegrass. That's one good thing. Eventually, is this pumping station gonna, the new pipe that's gonna go under Highway 89 and up the hill, this is part of that project? Okay. Approximately where is the pipe gonna go under 89? And what's the time frame for doing that?
That's a great question. So I'm Brian Jacobs. I'm with Weaver Basin Water Conservancy District. This is Jake. He's with Brown and Caldwell, who's our architect and design engineer. So as far as timing for the project goes, we were hopeful to be a little bit.
With a bunch of Google apps installed. Or search on Google.
And you're walking advertisement.
So we were hopeful to be a little bit further ahead than we are right now, but we put in for some FEMA funding. So and we did not get that last year, and then we put in, it was just due the first of this year. So just like 2 weeks ago, we put that in. So we're kind of waiting on the funding to see what we can do there. So as far as timing goes, the earliest that construction would begin, and granted, construction would begin with like grading for the aqueduct, maybe not with the pump house. Pump house would probably go in after the pipeline does, but it depends, you know, how the construction sequence hasn't really been worked out. We don't have a contractor yet. We don't even have all the funds yet, but depending who our contractor is, they might start with one thing or another. We assume that they're going to start with grading the hillside along 89 and up by the bifurcation structure, and then probably the pump station will go in probably last, but they could do the pump station first. So don't really know, but the earliest that could happen would be this fall. They'd start doing some of that grading work. Most likely it'll probably be the spring of 23, maybe the fall of 23. And if we don't get the funding from FEMA, then it would probably, we'd go after some bonding issues or some bonding revenues, and probably push that construction to be more like the very end of 23, probably the beginning of 24. So it's a little bit ways out still.
So if they're not tied together, then putting the pipe in the pump house.
Kind of yes, kind of no, but they are somewhat independent, yes.
Now, the pipe's gonna go on the east side of 89 or the west side?
So it'll come, are you familiar with our bifurcation structure?
Right.
So we'll come from the bifurcation structure, turn and go down the hill through the Weaver Job Corps, kind of go through their ball field, if you're kind of familiar with that. We'll cross under the Davis and Weaver Canal Company's canal in the back of Shore Steel, and then come parallel the canal, cross through Axiom, the Petties, and then this property is the next one. And then that pump house is right there with the parallel pipeline, goes right underneath the pump house. And that way, in an emergency, we can pull water from the Davis and Weaver Canal Company and put it into the pipeline and push it up the hill. So it's on that exhibit where you see the pump house, that is right on top of the parallel pipeline.
Okay.
And then we go to the corner of that property, cross underneath that property, cross under the Davis and Weaver Canal Company's canal one more time. Then we're right in, clip that corner of Paul Baumgart. And then there's a little piece of UDOT that is next to, I can't remember their name. The people on the corner there. And then we turn there and go under 89. And then from there, we're in the frontage road all the way up to Weaver.
Okay.
Well, the frontage road until the frontage road goes away. And then we're in the UDOT right of way and going up to Weaver Basin.
Is construction going to impact 2700 East, or is it all going to be on the, I guess, space between 89 and the frontage road?
Yes. Can I just jump in here
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just say that, so we've been working with Weaver Basin as far as all of the piping and such that's off of this site. We've still got to reconcile and finalize some agreements for where they would be in the right of way. So that part hasn't been finalized. I think what they're asking from tonight is just to get approval of
The
the.
pump house. I was
Right,
just curious. Sorry,
yes.
that was more just a curious, because it sounds like a lot
No.
of this is very much 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Hopefully
Keep
not
going
that
up.
far.
Okay.
I know
Good thought.
they're anxious. I think they would like it sooner than later, but I just wanted to make sure it was clear that approval of this is not necessarily approving their project per se on the rest of it. We still got some agreements to work out.
Mhm.
And this is gonna be right next door to Councilperson Petty's place.
Correct.
I was going to ask how close, because it looks like there's that retention pond. Is their property just on the other side?
Yes.
Are they okay with this?
They're fully aware.
She's not here giving public comments,
They're
so.
fully aware.
It's why she has a new home, so.
Okay, that was the agreement.
Well, where their previously existing home is, our pipe need to go right underneath their kitchen, so.
I'm sure the new home is not
And
They had to relocate the kitchen.
the kitchen. That's a
Yeah.
deal breaker.
I,
To a different house.
I believe there's a masonry wall going on along that side.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah,
And then
that's part
basically,
of the
that's a
requirement.
driveway access with parking, and parking is just going to be for servicing. There's not going to be any full-time employees at the parking.
We hope there's
or-
no full-time employees hanging out
Okay.
there. We're not gonna put a couch, we're not gonna put a.
They're
Maybe.
going to be like the
TV.
hangout spot, barbecues, okay.
Yeah, yeah, and the pump house, there'd be 3 reasons why we run it.
Mhm.
One would be every year, we just want to turn it on, make sure the pumps are working so that if we need to run it, it can. So operational, it would be in use, maybe 2 to 3 days, maybe a week maximum, each year. That's scenario 1, it was just operational. Number 2 is if there's an issue with the gateway tunnel or with our pipeline, then we could turn on the pump, run that and turn off the aqueduct and fix that. And that would be kind of more of a maintenance kind of issue.
Mhm.
And that would be however long it would need to be. We don't like to shut the aqueduct down, so most people like to drink water, so we try to minimize that window. And then the third reason why we'd have it running is for a catastrophic event, such as a seismic event that we're due for, and that would jeopardize the aqueduct itself. And so, I mean, it's not like we're going to be running this for a lot. Right now we're projecting only running it less than a week a year, just to make sure it's operational.
And I appreciated the Tyler Bird. Who is that?
He's with Brown Caldwell, so.
Okay. I appreciated his little email that was included in the packet, just talking about the noise and the measures that have been taken. I appreciated that. So I don't really have any concerns with that. So, thank you.
I had no further questions, so I'm good. Thank you for your explanation, your time. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
No,
So,
just kidding. I have one more question.
Oh.
So the construction of the pump house, if you are given approval, when is that expected to start? Is that something that has the funding already to go if it is approved?
Yeah, so with the BRIC funding, BRIC is for FEMA, so it's Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities. So
Okay.
that's the fund we put in for.
Not for.
Yeah, not like, here's a brick or a brick of cash or something, but it is. Yeah. So if we get that funding, it all has to be, if we can't start construction prior to receiving that funding.
Okay.
And so it all kind of is tied together. So again, it'd follow that same timeline.
And that's something within a year to 2 years that's expected to be,
Mhm. Yeah, that's what we're hopeful for.
okay. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, we could pull the pump house out because they are kind of a little bit exclusive. The pipeline doesn't have to run with the pump house, but we wrapped it all together to see if we could get more of the funds for it. So we kind of tied them together.
And I do like that you are trying to maintain the existing vegetation, especially keeping any of the existing healthy trees, because I do think that helps buffer a lot. So do we know that most of the trees there are going to be pretty healthy and not get torn out?
Yeah, if you look at the site, it's gone now, but along the back, there's a pretty good little forest.
Yeah.
And, you know, on the Petty's property, quite a few of those trees are going to be coming down. Actually, I think they already are down. But then towards the back there, you know, a lot of that's going to get cleared and grubbed. There is this little grove in the front that will stay there. Right now, they're putting in some underground power in preparation for this. So if you go out to the site, you can see they have a mini that's staying close to those trees. We're gonna clear some of those trees, and the Cache Valley Electric said, no, we can get the power in without clearing those trees. So what you see there kind of on the head of that, or the toe, I don't know what you call it, the right-hand side, those trees will probably stay there as is.
And there is a sidewalk, correct, that's being installed with a park
There's
strip?
an existing sidewalk.
Is that already there?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, it's existing.
All right, thank you.
Looks like you're only gonna be using about half of the property. You're gonna coordinate with Wildlife Resources about, some of the vegetation on the other side for habitat. We got a lot of turkeys in that area and other, upland game birds and stuff. Coordinate with the habitat section up there to get some different plants put in. What you've listed is very good, but anything else?
Yeah, so that right-hand side is going to remain kind of in the state that it is right now. And then when we do our project, we'll clear and grub some of that. And then when we put it back, we'll just use the native seed mix.
Okay.
And, you know, in the future, we might look at using that site for some storage or something. We don't really know. I mean, that's a pretty big site that's not really useful. Not like you put a coffee shop right there or anything.
Hey, that works.
There's your fly shop.
So, you know, at this point, we just, you know, the right-hand side is going to be just native seed mix, and then our detention basin, that'll be, of course, disturbed and landscaped and have some grasses on that.
Okay. Any other questions, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Wilson? All right, so just for clarification, I want to make sure we're doing the right steps here, because I know you're like, you got your eyes on me. Is this going to council? No, it's not going to council, it's just our approval. Okay, so then I'll seek for a motion to approve the architectural review.
I'll make a motion to approve the Davis Aqueduct Reach 1 Pump Station Agricultural and Site Plan.
And can I get a second?
And second.
And then we'll do roll call.
Aye.
Aye. And we have approval unanimously. Thank you. And thank you again for coming and answering questions. All right. Item number 7, any additional comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Bosti.
None at this time.
Okay, Commissioner Johnson.
Nothing.
I have no additional comments. And item number 8, special recognition for Commissioner Johnson. Go ahead, Trevor.
Well, Wes, I've only known you for 6 months.
And it's been hell.
I love it though. No, it's been amazing. You have a lot of insight and wisdom in the plans that we review, and this job was set at city council. Well, I'll echo sentiments with council. It's a thankless job sometimes. You get to review some really boring packets,
I'm glad this one was only 80 pages, not the 218 that we had last time.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
was a little bit smaller, but, and I appreciate the detail that you bring and all of the notes that you take, and, you really help elevate the position of the planning commission, and, we really appreciate the service that you've had to the community. So we just had a little gift for you, want to present that to you.
It's been a fun 7 years. We've had our ups, we've had our downs. We've got a good city plan right now. I think it's one of the best ones I've ever seen the city come up with. And, like everybody says, we'll see you up here again in a year, maybe. We'll wait and see. But it's a challenge. It's to see the potential development that can take place in the city and how we have guided it and need to continue to guide it. It's a great position. Being on the planning commission has been wonderful. My big thing is trails, getting access to the river. We need that as soon as possible. 1375 East, I think it's pretty much on its way to fruition sometime. Get our city council to get moving on it over there.
I think he's calling you out, Blair.
Something like that.
But, yeah.
Who is that? What commissioner is
Well,
that?
that would be in the park. It's now Joel and Quinn.
Joel
Yeah.
and Quinn? Okay.
So we need,
You know who you need to stay in touch with.
yes. I'll be on top of everything that goes on here, with the emails and stuff. And, if something comes up that I don't like, I'll let you know.
Please do.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Great, thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
As a final outgoing type of official movement, I'll say move to adjourn.
Right, a second.
So do. Or how is it? So do, or what is
We
it?
are adjourned.
So moved. So do.
So do.